In today's podcast, I'm going to get really tactical from a marketing perspective, and I'm going to talk about how I'm now tracking two different ROAS marketing KPIs, or return on ad spend, and why each of them is really important. In the start of the year, I was only tracking one, which included closed revenue per month against how much I was spending in marketing per month. So that way I had a real-time picture of money that came in that month, and I knew how much I spent in marketing that month. The problem is that didn't give me a live, real-time, accurate picture of how my actual marketing was performing. Because if I'm flipping, for example, then the revenue would come in maybe 4, 5, even 6 months after the lead came in, sometimes even longer. And so it always left me guessing, how is my current marketing actually performing? So I also started tracking incoming money based on the month that the lead came in. And I'm going to share with you the benefits and the behaviors that's changed inside of my business, in the event that it's something that you want to consider tracking. And if you don't, that's totally cool. But I want to share with you what it's done for me. And, if it's something you want to apply, good deal. Who am I? My name is Ryan Rice. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I have been doing this going on 4 years. It looks like we're going to hit 7 figures this year. And I share all of this stuff with the hopes that it can make you some more money in your real estate business. So my first problem, like I said, is it didn't feel like I knew exactly how my marketing was performing, or at least it felt lagged. And because of that, I struggled making good decisions around, should I increase the marketing spend in this specific channel? Should I add another channel? It was difficult because I didn't have the data of how much money that we were making based on the leads that came in that same month. It was just purely, how much did we close this month? How much did we spend on marketing? But again, the problem is that we would spend money on marketing, and let's say we got 20 leads that month. I wasn't tracking how much money we were making off those 20 leads. And so I always just found myself unsure of exactly how the marketing was performing. And again, the second problem that created is it was difficult for me to make good decisions on, okay, should I add to that marketing spend, or should I add another channel? Because since the reporting and the data was delayed, I might see a return on ad spend of a 3, but I knew that I had this whopper of a deal. I don't know why I called it a whopper, but had this big deal that was going to close, and that would drastically increase that return on ad spend. And so I would just always find myself guessing, okay, where exactly is my marketing? And so the third problem that created is the progressive growth of the business. It was just slow. I wasn't able to make quick decisions, and therefore my marketing wasn't optimized, which at the end of the day, it impacted how much revenue I was able to produce from my business, because I just couldn't make decisions effectively. So the solution, I continued to track what I was tracking in terms of return on ad spend, because I did want a real picture of how much money came in this month versus how much money did I spend. But I also added where I would track revenue directly tied to the month that the lead came in. And ever since I started doing that, the clarity around how the marketing was performing was exactly what I was missing before. It helped me make super effective decisions. And the reason this worked is because, let's say I had 20 leads come in January. I would track, it's very easy for me in my CRM to track exactly when those leads came in. And then when we put the lead in contract, and then I had a projected profit amount, and then when we closed that deal, we had an actual profit, I could tie the money directly to when that lead came in. And that's been very helpful, because it gave a very accurate and up-to-date, fast picture of how much money that we were making based on that marketing. And so now what happens is, when I get a new deal in contract, I tie the revenue back to when the lead came in, and I just have a super clear, up-to-date picture of what that return on ad spend looks like. And here's why this is important. I can now make decisions very quickly as it relates to, okay, do I want to add spend to this specific marketing channel? Okay, this marketing channel is performing well enough and generating enough profit to where now I have enough money to add maybe another marketing channel. And so something that I did real time, because I started tracking this data in a new way, is in one of my marketing channels, I increased spend even more. And I did that because I had a very clear picture of how much money that those specific months of ad spend were bringing in, which was helpful. And so that's an example of a macro behavior that changed for us. And there were a bunch of little micro behaviors that tracking this different style of marketing assisted in as well. The first thing, we were able to go after something as small as a show up rate, because if there was a certain month and we spent a certain amount of marketing, and let's say we got 25 leads based on that marketing spend, I could then identify like, hey, that's a lot lower than it should be. Let's go troubleshoot and figure out what might be wrong. And when we did that, we noticed that our appointment show up rate was a lot lower than we wanted it to be. And so we were able to introduce a sequence to whether it's text or call reminders before an appointment. And that helped improve our ability to ensure that when we schedule these appointments, the prospect would actually show up. So by improving our show up rate, it therefore would increase the ability that we'd be able to put something in contract. It then drove us further to make sure that we're better tracking, okay, how many pass offs are coming from our follow-up specialists. So for those of you that don't know, the structure of my sales team is I have essentially a setter and a closer. So someone who qualifies leads, sets the appointments, and then I close them. And looking at tracking this data based on when the lead came in helped us identify that, hey, this, again, let's say we got 30 leads this month. Those 30 leads generated 5 appointments. If on another month we got 30 leads and it generated less than 5 appointments, then we will be able to focus our attention on why that is. And so just tracking this KPI in a little bit of a different of a way helped us identify these micro behaviors that can improve our sales process, improve the show up rate, improve the amount of pass offs that were coming from the setter, and just helped us at the end of the day ultimately make more offers and close more deals. And so to recap, what tracking this second style of return on ad spend did to us from a micro perspective: number one, we looked at our show up rate and we improved it. Number two, we looked at our pass offs and improved them. And then number three, on a more macro perspective, we increased our ad spend in one of our marketing channels. And check out the result that it's done to us. In the first 6 months of this year, our return on ad spend was trending around a 2.3, which is not great. There was some significant opportunity there. And what was so interesting is that's our return on ad spend, by the way, based on leads that came in this year. Our true return on ad spend, money coming in versus money going out, was almost a 5 because we closed several large deals that actually closed in 2023, but the revenue came in 2024. And again, that's why it's so important, I think, to track both of those metrics. You need the money coming in versus money coming out, but you also need the revenue based on when the lead came in, because this is what it did. In the first 6 months, the leads that we generated this year were generating a 2.3 return on ad spend. We made some of these changes, which again, I added spend to a marketing channel, and then I took a look at our our show rate, and took a look at our pass offs. And now our return on ad spend is a 5.5 in the second half of the year. And so our total return on ad spend for the year, just based on when leads came in on that corresponding month, now it's at a 3.8 year to date. So it went from a 2.3 year to date to a 3.8 year to date. And the reason that difference is because in the latter half of the year, we have delivered a 5.5 return on ad spend. So you can see the benefit that this has given our business. It's made us incredibly more profitable. It has triggered the right behaviors. And on top of, the show up rate and the tracking the pass offs, we were able to just dig in even more to our sales process as well. Can we sell better? Are there little things that we can do to better communicate with our sellers and improve our close rate in general? So something as simple as having really, really good data and tracking both of those numbers is something that's really benefited us. And if you guys see some benefit in it, feel free to consider doing that as well. So to close out here, it's so necessary to have good data. And what I found is that the data you track, it must change your behavior when the data changes, because otherwise it's completely pointless. And I'm kind of a data nerd. I really enjoy it. I track data with my personal life, whether it's weight, fitness, finances. There's all sorts of data that I track. But it's really important, I've noticed, to ensure that when you track data, the only reason you track it is because if it changes, you change a behavior. Otherwise, it's completely pointless. So track good data. In this case, from a marketing perspective, I found it helpful to track the true money coming in versus going out, but then also the money coming in versus going out based on when the lead come in. So if you guys found value out of that, then that would be great if you would share it with somebody who you think might get some benefit out of it. And I appreciate you guys listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.